We are less than 72 hours away from the University of Louisville spring football game. We're going to talk about that, and we're going to give you a little bit of an insider's opinion on what to watch for in that game. Let's get on into it and roll that film, baby. Welcome on into the Cardinal Companion. As always, good morning or good afternoon, depending on when and where you're watching in from. I'm your main man, Josh. I am joined as always by my two great co-hosts, James and Brad. James, how are you doing this evening, brother?
I'm doing good. The football teams completed all open practices prior to the spring game now. They had their final media availability pre-spring game today. Team looks really good. The freshmen are really implementing to the speed of the game so far. We'll touch on some freshmen later on in this video, but pretty confident. It's no secret the NIL and money situation was better this offseason than it has been in past, obviously, with and that's it across the country. You're seeing contracts that are higher. But the talent's there. We were close last year. We think we can really make a run this year.
I agree. B-Rad, how you doing tonight, brother?
We're ready to talk some football. To take a break from basketball for a little bit and, dive on into it.
Yeah, I think what stinks about it, we're not even in the dog days yet.
We are not.
We're not even there. So we got a little while, but it is fun. We got the spring game coming up. Get that, and then we're really in just the deadness of it. But it's the longest off season in major sports, and along with that, I would argue it's the most fun off season in major sports. Talking a little bit about the spring game specifically, though. So we are recording this on April 14th, which is Tuesday. The spring game will be on Friday 17th at 7 o'clock. Correct, James?
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock. I think they moved it up, yeah.
Yeah,
I apologize. 6 o'clock.
We're trying to get it in before the rain comes in late.
6 o'clock. Yeah, that's kind of – it's been kind of weird. It is not being televised again this year, which has kind of become the norm in college football. A lot of these spring games, I don't think I've seen a single one televised so far this year.
Tennessee was televised.
And along with that, if you want – was it?
Yeah.
Josh Heupel's slacking. What's new? It's not that kind. It's not that show. Got to reel back the horses a little bit there. If you want to listen to the spring game, though, it'll be broadcasted on 93.9 The Ville, local Louisville radio. You can find them on TuneIn, iHeartRadio, all that good stuff, all that jazzy stuff. But you're only going to get so much information from radio broadcasts. I know that ourselves at the Cardinal Companion on Twitter, which will be linked right here, we'll be covering it live, so follow along on there, turn on notifications, all that good stuff. We'll get you up to date on the spring game, and there'll be a few other Louisville media people, I'm sure. Along with that, typically WHAS, Wave 3, they'll do a little 4 or 5 minute package of, a video that they'll put on their website if you want to follow along with it. But if you can, I would highly suggest getting out there to L&N Federal Credit Union Stadium.
It's going to be exciting. I wish I could get out there, but, a lot of new faces. I know a lot of people are going to be obviously interested to see Lincoln. But, a lot of new faces on this team.
I want to say this about this team. Going to a couple opens. I've seen kind of the growth of the teams. This goes back to the 15-16 season. I think the upside of this team, is higher than any team I've seen at the University of Louisville since 2013 at least. The talent top to bottom on this roster, especially that defensive line. That defensive line has 2 to 3 deep of talent that you can just rotate guys and they'll be able to get pressure.
I agree. I think you got a really solid squad this year for Louisville. And, we're going to talk about that over the summer. Like I said, let's pull them horses back a little bit, baby. Talking some spring game here. Just some spring game. Just a little bit about the spring game, though, before we get into it. We're going to do a reaction show about the spring game on Sunday after, so 2 days removed. I can make you a Cardinal Companion guarantee about our reactions. We are not going to overreact if the defense plays very well or if the offense plays very well. We're not falling for that trap here because I think both units are very, very good. Typically the way that Louisville does these spring games, it's not a traditional 60-minute football game. That's just not what it is. They do some weird scoring rules and whatnot. They start possessions at different yard lines. It's essentially a practice that they keep score at. But offense traditionally does show out in these type of games. Even last year with our, and just to be completely honest, piss poor quarterback play, the offense did very well. So we're not going to overreact. We're not going to do that.
There's a few guys that I think the fans could overreact to.
I agree. Well, let's get into talking about those guys. So if you had one freshman from the 2025 high school class, do you think fans could overreact to? Who do you think it would be, James?
He's not going to play much. He's not going to play at all his freshman year. I hate to be that first person, but Briggs Cherry. Listen, we all know how good we all know how good he could have been. But when I tell you how fast he's picked up the speed of the game, you gotta remember he's done all these summer camps for years, so his football IQ's off the charts. He won the most precise quarterback at Elite 11. He comes from the Baylor school, which had Jack Del Rio's son prior, and now they have Peyton Manning's son there. So he's had proper coaching throughout, and he loves the city. And he's really bought into learning from Lincoln and learning the offense. And I think you're going to see him make some plays Friday.
Well, I don't disagree with anything you said at all. I think Briggs has looked phenomenal through spring practice. I've heard nothing but great things about him, about his family. In all honesty, I've used the term the future for two separate previous quarterbacks. Briggs Cherry is the real future of the program. And I do think he has a very good spring game.
And honestly, it's a lot easier to say that with how Jeff is openly talking about him now compared to quarterbacks of the past.
Hey, real quick while I have you here, if you're enjoying this show and you want to see more just like it, hit that red subscribe button right now. It literally takes 1 second. When you subscribe and turn on notifications, you're never going to miss a drop. Whether it's the next big breakdown, new pickups, giveaway, or just me and the boys ranting about how much we love the Cards. Seriously, tap, subscribe, plus hit that bell. Let's keep moving this community together. Now back on over to the video. Peace.
Well, if you want an example of the type of throws he can make in a big-time game, there was a nationally televised game in his senior year of high school against Macaulay where, 4th and goal from the 11-yard line off his back foot, he hit a guy in the back of the end zone to win a rivalry game against a top 25 ranked game in the country. I'm sure you can find it on YouTube. I know they streamed it on YouTube. But that was an everyday thing, and he's that classic quarterback that he can throw the ball 50 times. And I believe his senior year, if I'm right, he did not throw an interception until the state championship game. And that's on schedule where they played four unique top 25 ranked teams in the country. By the way, they were undefeated.
No, they had a good ball team. Brad, who would be your freshman player that the fan base is going to overreact to?
Well, I've been overreacting about this kid from day one. It's a future Briggs Cherry target, and that is Gavin Waddle.
Okay, I was about to say.
I almost got you.
You almost got it.
Yeah. No, it is wide receiver Gavin Waddle out of the state of North Carolina. When you watch the film on him, there's one former receiver that comes to mind right away, and it's Lacey. Now, I don't know if Waddle has the overall speed yet that Lacey did in his time at Louisville, but when you watch his route running, there isn't many routes he can't run. He's not afraid to run across the middle. He can run an excellent slant route, excellent deep post, excellent hitch to the corner. There's in the high school playbooks, there's not a route he couldn't run. And you look at the way this roster is now. Unfortunately, early in the spring, Louisville has had some injury at wide receiver. And that is a name that I am looking or hoping that will step up at least Friday in the spring game, and then possibly, get some run once the season gets here. Because he's, I think you could put him in the slot, and I think he can make some plays there. And, that's a kid that the first time I saw him, my eyes got extremely big, and I'm super excited for the future of Gavin Waddle, wide receiver.
I agree, and just given kind of the recent injury news that came out today from Jeff Brom's interview with 93.9 with Chris Hughes going down, there's a good chance he can see the field this year.
Absolutely, and Quisenberry is also probably going to be out.
Yeah,
for the year. And unfortunately, Trey Richardson has been out most of the spring. So there's an opportunity to kind of make a name for himself. So I'm curious to see how he does on Friday.
Well, guys, we've had a lot of love for the offense here, and I'll be honest. Originally, my pick was for a wideout for the offense, one of Briggs' targets, but I feel like I gotta give a little bit of love to the defense here. And who better of a player from this freshman class to give love to than the top-ranked player in the class? And that'd be one Jaden Broadnax, top 150 kid out of Boca Raton, Florida. He's playing cornerback. He's got all of the physical tools, 6'2", 190, major hitter. High football IQ, likes to play up. He's a good one. And he is one of those guys where I think we're going to overreact about him in the spring game because I think he's going to be seeing serious minutes this year. And I think he's going to crack the two deep very, very quickly here. This kid is, I would argue, one of the most NFL-ready players we've gotten out of high school in a very long time.
And it's a position of need for Louisville as well. They brought in several guys for the secondary, but he was kind of the face of that class this past year. He in Louisville, was able to keep him with there were a lot of suitors coming after him as we got closer to signing day, and that was one that Louisville was able to keep. And on the defensive side, that's one that like you said, we should expect to see him make some plays this year.
Another
Yeah.
situation about the secondary. Jaden comes into a system where Ron stepped away for the year, so you got Mark Ivy and Steve Ellis, which we've talked about getting promoted to co-DCs. Steve Ellis has probably the most loaded secondary he's had since 2023. Talent-wise, they brought in a lot through the portal on top of being able to bring in valuable pieces in the high school ranks, and you're seeing that in the 27 class as well. They're continuing to load up. So the fact that we could sit here and say that we could see Jaden getting significant reps when you bring in top, what was it, 3 or 4 4-star transfer portal cornerbacks, it just shows you the belief that we have in them.
No, very true. Very, very true. Kind of the flip side, we just talked about the high school class. I think we all know the easy answer here for the transfer portal question. It's pretty obvious. We're all going to say Lincoln Kindoll. If there's one guy outside of Lincoln Kindoll, who is it?
Santana
For
Wilson.
me, I'm going to go Marquise Davis.
Okay. I want to hear the Santana Wilson. That's interesting. I like that. Let's hear that. I'm sorry, Brad. I didn't mean to cut you off there. I hear Santana Wilson. That's like the 17th best ranked kid in our class. I want to hear about some Santana Wilson.
Santana Wilson, his ability to make up speed, like he can lose on a route and he's just his length. He's the son of NFL great Adrian Wilson. He knows football. He's a high level IQ. He's willing to lower his pads and just take a hit. He's a guy that he personifies what Ron English wanted the defense to be. He's a tough kid who feels like he has a chip on his shoulder from Texas. He wants to prove it. And in practice, he's been making plays. In every open practice, he's had multiple deflections and a couple picks. His consistency, I think, will shine through most of all. And I think you'll see him on the field a lot.
I can see that. The one thing that worries me about Santana Wilson, and I don't know if it's a worry or not, and I don't even know if it's very valid, he hasn't seen the field a lot, especially down in Texas. And to be fair, that has been a very good unit pretty much since he's been there. If I'm not mistaken, he is a redshirt sophomore, correct?
I believe so.
Yeah, I mean, he's a top 250 kid. He has, he has all the tools. I just kind of want to see it happen. But I do think he will be very valuable in the defense. I completely agree with you. And he has the pedigree to back. But B-Rad, what's your name, brother?
Yes, so I'm going Marquise Davis, running back out of Missouri. And when you look at the big picture of the Louisville running back room, we all know it's loaded. But the thing that excites me most about Davis is his speed. And I think the most underrated part of his game, at least, things that you read and the little bit that he played at Missouri, the vision is there. I don't think it's, in the same atmosphere as Isaac Brown's vision yet. But when you look at his explosiveness, unfortunately last year when Isaac went down, Louisville still had a good running back room, but they lost that it factor. out of the running back room. And, you pair Davis with Brown along with the others in that backfield, at least moving forward. That's a name to me that I think Louisville fans are going to fall in love with once they get to see him run. And I would imagine on Friday, we get to see him quite a bit.
I agree. Honestly, hot take alert here. He might be your next 1,000-yard rusher. Maybe not this
100%.
season. Maybe not this season.
Right.
That kid,
he's got that ability. And, if anybody has seen it, the football team has done a great job putting out some teasers this spring. And he had a phenomenal catch in the corner of the end zone. And it kind of flashed his ability to catch the football out of the backfield. And you look at, the history of Jeff Brom's offense, that's a part of the game that, as much as we, love Isaac, we haven't really seen a ton of that with him, catching the ball out of the backfield. And, you look at what this offense could possibly be, and that just adds another element to that offense. And I think that's where, we could see Marquise Davis utilized the most in year one.
I agree. Do you have anything else to add, James?
So, Marquise, there's a lot to touch on here. So, what I like to call Marquise, he's like Isaac Brown light. He's a lot less game experience, but he has all the tools that Isaac has. It's just putting all the tools together and allowing him room to kind of find his own role in this offense. He's a big play guy, but he's also got the ability to lower his pads to get a little bit lower. He's got a little bit more weight on him than Isaac does currently. And I feel like he's going to find his way onto the field this fall. He's behind Isaac and Keywan right now, obviously, in the depth chart. He's coming in with very little game tape. But I think he's a guy that you can use to your advantage. And the fact that you got him, Braxton Jennings, along with a certain freshman out of IMG and Leaky hiding back there, just happens to tower over most of the roster. But this running back room in general,
boys lifting weights.
There's a lot.
Yeah. My guy I'm going to go with, obviously, kind of preface that everyone wants to say Lincoln Kindoll. We're not going to do that conversation. That's the easy answer. I'm going to go with Brody Foley, tight end out of Tulsa. I talk a lot about pro-ready players. Brody Foley could be a second-round NFL draft pick, if not first-round NFL draft pick after this season. I mean, the kid has been uber productive down there in Tulsa in the American. I would personally argue, looking at the portal rankings, he was the best pure pass catcher out of all the tight ends. He was the fourth-ranked tight end. You could kind of make the argument back and forth between Brommer and Foley for best pass catcher. I'd go with Foley because he has a little more production. That's just me. I also think he has a little bit better measurables. Brommer's kind of a big boy, whereas Foley's more, slim, thick. I don't even know if that's a term I should be using. That's kind of weird, actually. My whiteness is showing. Yeah, Brody Foley. I think he's going to be a massive part of the pass game. Every year that Jeff's been here, I feel like we've had the same conversation where it's like, man, we're going to get the tight ends involved. We got guys like Jamari Johnson, Redmond, Kariski last year. It's like, we're going to get the tight ends involved, and it's never really come to fruition. I think this is the guy that you do get involved. I think he's just a step above talent-wise of the previous guys. And to be quite fair, I thought Mark Redley coming in was pretty dang good. He's bigger than Redmond. He's faster. He can catch the ball better, and he's a better blocker. And this is a guy where it would not surprise me if, come the end of the season, this guy's got 8 touchdowns, 9 touchdowns, and he's just been the red zone threat all year. Because I think he complements the pass game very well as that guy.
I do want to touch on one more portal guy. Like, he wasn't the one I wanted to kind of single out, but I do think Louisville fans need to really have their eye on him. Jackson Voff out of Drake. He was a kind of more of a quiet pickup in the portal, but he's had arguably one of the better springs of any of the wide receivers in camp, either returning or coming in. His ability to learn the offense at a very high route, and his ability to run pretty much any route in the route tree, and his ability just to be able to read the flow of the play and be able to just get open for whoever's back there, whether it has been Briggs, Davin, or Lincoln.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that Voth could see a a very utilized role in the offense as a situational guy, to be completely honest with you. But I think he has the tools to kind of show out. Moving the conversation along a little bit, though, talking about returning players, I'm going to go first. We're going to change up the order a little bit. So, guys returning from the team that I think that Louisville fans are going to either re-fall in love with, stay in love, or go crazy about. I got to go with TJ Capers. TJ Capers, former 5-star. He showed out last season. He kind of made his presence known after a very sleepy first year or so around in the program. Had a lot of really nice games last year. He's just gotten more athletic and he's hit the weight room even more. And I'll tell you what, the way the defense is constructed, he's going to be free rushing a lot of the time with the edges that you have. And I think that he is poised for a monster season. To be fair, though, I think most of the defense is poised for a monster season because the defense looks pretty dang good on paper. But TJ Capers, watch out for him because this is the year where he kind of shows that 5-star status, in my opinion.
Defense making names and falling back in love. My pick for this is Stanquan Clark. He went down. He went down in the JMU game. Came back late in the year. I don't have to tell you if you're a Louisville fan who Stanquan Clark is. He's the heartbeat of the defense. When he's on the field, that defense is just looks quicker. You can, his ability in pass defense and run defense to be able to just make plays and make everybody around him better. He's a guy that even if he doesn't get the tackle, you know he's there. He makes things so much harder on the opposing offense, and I think he's one of the better linebackers in the country.
I agree, and I think this is one of the better linebacker rooms in the country, if you want my honest opinion.
I'll give you mine, and it may be a little controversial, but
it's Isaac Brown.
Yeah, Tavion Holloway. You know, he's going to be the voice on that defense in the secondary this year, and you know, I think there was times last year where he showed what he could really do, and you pair him with some of the new faces on that defense. You know, believe it or not, I mean, he could be, you know, the one of the main voices on that defense this year. Outside of your linebacker room, there's a lot of new faces on the defensive line. So I think, you know, especially early in the year, you're going to look for him to kind of be the leader of the secondary.
So, guys, obviously, I made the little joke about Isaac Brown, but this is a serious question. How much do you think? What is a palatable appetite for the amount of Isaac Brown you see on Friday?
Realistically, I don't need to see anything else from Isaac Brown in a spring game. Like, they can flash the camera, show he's there, and I'm good.
I don't think you need to, but I would expect seeing 10 to 15 reps. Not all runs, but just to get him some simulated game action. He's been doing the open practice scrimmages. Obviously, he's running 4 to 5 times per and just kind of doing play actions. He'll get some game time just to kind of get rhythm with the new offensive line and get some practice in. But you're not going to see anybody show too much, obviously, with it being the spring, but just enough to kind of whet the appetite a little bit.
I mean, I'll be honest. I hope he's on the party deck signing footballs for NIL money. I'd be happy.
Exactly.
I just, yep. I don't, in this sort of, and I know he's been practicing, but I know practices theoretically are just as intense and live game as a spring practice or spring game is. I don't need to see much of Isaac Brown. I just, based off the history, I don't need to see a lot. That's just me. Now, I do think you will. I agree with you, though, James. I do think you'll see about 10 to 15 plays, but I don't think it's needed, truthfully. I really don't.
Let him call the offense.
Oh, I like that. So, guys, we've talked a little bit about freshmen, transfers, and returning players to watch. So now kind of the last little hoorah thing I want to talk about. What are some underrated players or some undervalued players, some guys you don't feel like a lot of people are talking about that you think has the opportunity to get a lot of people hot and bothered and excited on Friday night?
Well, I'll give you one name, and it will probably be talked about maybe 5 or 6 times the rest of the year, and that is the new punter, Jacob Baker from Eastern Kentucky.
Okay.
And the numbers speak for themselves. He had several punts last year over 50 yards. Something that Louisville struggled with mightily at times last year was the punting game and field position battle. And he is a guy that could come in and really make a difference. And it's probably one of the only times we'll ever talk about punting. But you mentioned a guy that we probably won't talk about much and could wow some people on Friday, and I think that's your guy.
I don't hate it.
Go ahead, Jeff.
I'd prefer not to talk about the punter. I don't like talking about punters on this show. And we've
And
talked
we
way too
shouldn't
much about
talk much.
punters in the past 2 years. We've
Right.
talked way too much about punters.
Exactly. If you're talking about the punter, it's usually an issue.
Yeah. My guy to watch out for, it's Eric Hazard. Eric Hazard, love the kid to death. He came on this program. He talked to us before he even committed. Great family. Kid has all the physical tools. He's been bulking. He's been hitting the weight room hard. He made the big special teams play against Kentucky last year, blocking the punt. It's a very, very crowded DN room. Don't get me wrong, it is very, very crowded DN room. I mean, my goodness, we've done this whole video and we haven't really talked about the DN room, which is arguably one of the best rooms on the team. But he's going to show up on the stat sheet this year. And I don't know if it's going to be in any massive proportions because we got some legit NFL guys in that DN room that are going to be playing some serious reps. But I do think that he's a guy that's going to come in situationally and he's going to free rush. Wouldn't surprise me if he's hitting with 3 or 4 sacks this year. It wouldn't surprise me in an environment like a spring game on Friday where they're going to be trying to play through everyone and you're going to have 1s on 2s and 1s on 3s, 2s on 3s, whatever, where he's a guy that, causes a little havoc and gets some people excited. So I'm really looking forward to watching Eric Hazard grow this year and just continue to get better because I think that he is a guy that in a few years we're going to be looking at and be like, man, how is this kid under-recruited and underrated so much?
Yeah, I was just going to say, like, you mentioned the block punt against Kentucky. I mean, that changed the momentum of that game, believe it or not. Like, it was kind of in one of those lulls in those games, and he blocked that punt. And after he blocked that punt is when Louisville kept the foot on the gas, and is when it got ugly. So yeah, I mean, he's a guy like kind of like Ashton Gelati was. Like, early on, you didn't really see him on the stat sheet a whole lot, but he was always in there, always trying to make a play, whether it was on special teams. Eric last year, he made several plays on special teams. He actually played special teams quite a bit. And, like you said, the defensive line or defensive line room in general is pretty stacked. But that is a kid that, fans need to remember because, come September, October, like you said, he's going to be making plays.
I've heard the Ashton comparison a few times. I've been trying to avoid it because those are some big shoes to fill.
Well, they are.
Those are some very big, but I mean, it is that similar trajectory where if this works out, there's a lot of parallels there. But who you got, James? Give me one undervalued guy.
So you spoke on defensive line. I'm gonna go to the offensive side of the ball. Cameron Gorin. He's probably gonna play quite a bit more than people probably expected. He's had a really good spring camp. Some people are concerned just with O'Neill's injury, and Jeff came out publicly and said that he may miss to the start of the year. Timetable's not out on that, but Gorin it's not one of those situations where you're starting a freshman just because someone got down. You're starting a freshman because Gorin was having one of the arguably the best camp out of any tackle. He wasn't most sought after high school recruit we had in the class, but he's came in from day one. He put the work in the weight room. He's been able to learn the playbook and been able to find rhythm with all the transfer portal guys and Lance. And he's a guy that I'm really big on. And he reminds me a lot of Willie. And I hate to try to put that on him as a freshman, but just his ability to be able to just adapt to any part of the offensive line that he's really needed has been really appealing to me. And I think a lot of the fan base will see him make some plays on Friday.
Hell yeah. I love that. I love it. So we're going to finish talking about players after this last question I got for you guys. I asked the question about Isaac Brown. How much do you want to see of him? What about Lincoln Kindoll? What are we looking to see out of Lincoln Logs? And how much are you wanting to see? Because I feel like it's an answer. You could go both ways with the answer.
For me, I would like to see him just have control of the offense, whatever that looks like in a spring game. If he's healthy and no turnovers by halftime, I'm probably good because I do want to see Briggs. I do want to see some of the other guys in the quarterback room. So give me a half. Let him control the offense. Have a good, a few sustained drives, no turnovers. And let's see what we got behind him.
So I'm a little similar. I don't think he goes a full half though. I think it'll be more like a snap count, a little bit more than Isaac, but I think you could see like 20 to 25, maybe maybe 2 or 3 drives total, just to kind of enough so the fan base get an idea of who he is and what he is in person rather than watching videos. Just enough. Don't risk any injuries that we don't need. Plus, give some shine to your freshman, your transfer portal in Davin, and just kind of give the shine to some of the backups. I think most of the starters have similar. I think you'll see 2 or 3 drives from the ones majority defense and offense on Friday. I think it's a really good opportunity to. And spring games are made for that's where you go to see your future. You get a little piece of the present, and then you see the future.
So I would love to see my answer. I don't think the Louisville fan base would like, to be completely honest with you. I don't want to see a lot of Lincoln. I think at the end of the day, the Lincoln Kinholtz, Lincoln Logs, Jeff Brom experiment is a massive unknown to all of college football. And that is one of your strongest things you got going for you going into week 1 against Ole Miss. Just being honest, Ole Miss is going to be the best team to play in the regular season by far. And I think I know Lane Kiffin ain't there no more. Ole Miss will have someone in the spring game. That is what happens in modern college football. And yes, these spring games aren't televised anymore, but someone still goes from each staff. It's not advanced scouting because it's not an actual game. It is what it is. Well, welcome. And if you think it's against the rules, well, we're still going to break the rules because welcome to the NCAA in 2026. I don't want to see that much of them because I think as much as you can hide of that, you have a complete unknown going into week 1 against Ole Miss. And I think that is something you want to leverage because we saw what he did at Ohio State. And at Ohio State, they ran him a lot in the limited time that he got to play. I think he played a lot against Minnesota, Grambling State, and like one other blowout. He played a pretty decent amount. Maybe it was Northwestern or Purdue. Keep that going, dude, because I don't think Jeff will run him that much as they did at Ohio State. And if they do, well, then that just adds arguably the biggest wrinkle to Jeff Brom's offense that we've ever seen. So I would keep Ole Miss on their toes as much as possible. And that might be being, paranoid and whatnot. Everything I've seen with that football program in the past 24 months, like everything, even after Lane Kiffin left with the recent things with Clemson and whatnot, which is a whole different conversation. I don't trust that football program. And because of that, I wouldn't play him that much in the spring game.
Yeah. I mean, just keep it basic. I mean, like you said, there's going to be people watching. Keep it basic. Do something fun. Just line up under center and hand it off. I mean, just keep it easy.
Yeah. Like nothing exotic, nothing crazy. Don't even have playbook. Just, keep it as basic as you can because I don't trust your week 1 opponent whatsoever.
Yeah, run basic routes. I do want to see him throw the ball a little bit downfield, just kind of selfishly. I want to see what that arm looks like down the field. But yeah, I agree. Just keep it simple.
All I have to say is Lawayne McCoy. If you have any questions, look up highlights against Florida last year, and you'll understand.
That kid is, yeah. Don't sleep on McCoy. Do not sleep on him.
I can talk about him for an hour. Just look at his highlights.
Last little thing before we get off here. You guys have any special memories? Anything you like about spring games? I've always felt a little romantic about them myself.
Well, I'll be honest. The only spring game that I went to was the Malik Cunningham spring game, and I'll be honest. When I was in those bleachers that night, I thought we had another Heisman Trophy quarterback.
You thought it was Lamar 2.0. I remember. Going with Lamar 2.0.
And that is when I was old enough to realize that we should probably stop overreacting to spring games. And Malik was great in his career, like he was good. But that night in that spring game, he was an animal. And that's my only memory as a Louisville spring game attendee.
I remember some of the insider reports about Puma Pass from that spring practices and that fall camp. It sounded like we had Lamar Jackson heir apparent.
Yeah, because that's what I remember is wondering, like, well, what about this Malik kid? Like, when is he going to play? Because Puma was going to be the starter. You know, one person told me that he was the next Deshaun Watson. Unfortunately, that did not happen. But yeah, I mean, there was no question that the quarterbacks on that team were going to be good.
Wasn't there like a rumor for a hot minute that Malik was going to play running back and Puma was going to play quarterback? Yes. Oh, and they were going to. Yeah, there was like some crazy rumor.
Yeah, the old rumors of 2018.
So much optimism. So much optimism.
I just remember I used to love when Tutu was here. Tutu was fun in the spring games. It felt like every year Tutu was good for just somebody would completely blow a coverage and Tutu would be walking like 60 yards down the field. But very limited. I'm going to this year's. I went to last year's. I think I went to all the ones when Tutu was here. If not, I may have missed one. But Tutu's been the highlight of my spring game. I think the beautiful thing about spring games is you get a taste of your team, but also you get to kind of romanticize the future.
I do love the spring game. I'm a Louisville native, grew up in Louisville, moved out when I enlisted when I was in my 20s. And the one thing that I've always loved about it was like the spring game feels like the unofficial start of the Derby season, in my opinion, because you do the spring game on Friday night, Thunder over Louisville on Saturday, then you're right into Derby season. And I've always loved it for that. And it's always been the kind of my unofficial start of like, oh, shoot, we got to put up the Derby decorations and start actually caring about horse racing.
Yeah. I mean, it's spring game to me is kind of like the start of, is really the first time every year that I really try to hold back the excitement for football. And it makes it even harder when your team's going to be pretty good. But that spring game is like usually that first taste of, hey, football season is going to be here in less than 5 months. And then, of course, you get into the dog days, but at least you get something to kind of go back and analyze for a couple days. And then that's when you can kind of really start digging into the roster a little bit as well as a fan.
Yeah, the way that my timeline for the offseason works like this, and it's worked like this pretty much my whole life, with the exception of like the recent transfer portal, which is a newer thing. Transfer portal closes, spring game. We used to have the spring portal in that same time. But we don't have that anymore. Then we get to the NCAA launch, and then they start showing college football live on ESPN, and then we're 30 days out. Phil Steele magazine somewhere in the middle of there, and we're off to the races. So after this, we're really just waiting on EA Sports to get up.
College football is there whenever you see that doomed Ireland game where whoever loses that just happens to go 2-10.
Hey, Louisville plays one of those opponents this year, so just saying.
We will break that game down and more through our spring series, where we're going to do a very early outlook on Louisville's opponents. We're going to give a little bit of brief history of the programs that Louisville's playing, a little 5-year history sort of thing. Working on trying to get a couple of guests on for that cover those schools day to day, similar to what we do for U of L. So be on the lookout for that. Florida State one's going to be fun. That's going to be a fun one. I love Tallahassee, so I'm excited. But anything else you guys really want to add on about the spring game? Pretty cool yard sale, I'll say that.
Just stay healthy and get out of there 100%.
I think we've pretty much touched everything. I think it's going to be a good day. Hopefully we can stay injury-free and kind of shine the present team while also allowing the freshmen to kind of show what they got.
Brad, you might know this question better than I do. Do the fraternities still do their practice tailgates for the spring game?
They still do. We did when I was at Louisville. We did. And it's probably why I vaguely remember the Malik Cunningham spring game. But yeah, I mean, it was an all-day affair. I mean, it was an all-day affair.
I will say they're opening the alley. They're opening the alley for tailgating at 1:00 Friday.
That's a rough.
Heck yeah.
That is a long day.
Yeah. Well, you got the Alley at 1 spring game, Thunder over Louisville. So
I think
Riley
Riley
Green's
Green's
playing
playing that night at the Young Center. That
That
is
is
a
fun.
that could be a heck of a day.
and you got the Louisville Kings on Thursday this week. So really Thursday and Friday, that's your weekend right
I'm
there.
blocking them out of my mind. Until they cut Benny Snell, they're blocked out of my mind, man. I can't deal with that. But check out our video with the PA announcer for the Louisville Kings, Dalton Penn.
coming this week. I will say this: if you're a sports junkie in general and you want to go to tailgate, you get a couple drinks in you, and you're like, hey, I want to watch something until 6 o'clock. Softball's playing at 1 o'clock.
And they're pretty dang good this year.
Yeah.
Yes, they are good.
They are pretty dang good. But it's not only practice for the players, it's practice for the fans as well. Get your tailgates out there. If you want to kind of show off your tailgate, send us a picture. We'd love to post it on the Twitter. Love to. Maybe on the Instagram, give a little shout out, whatever you want. But it's not only practice for the players, practice for the fans. Get out there, be responsible. Gates are open early. Have a good old time. And with that, I will please ask you, drop a like on the video. Please subscribe. Send us a comment. Why don't you tell us what was your favorite experience at a Louisville spring game? And with that being said, we will catch you all on Sunday after the spring game, breaking it all down. See you around next time, and go Cards.
Go Cards.
Cards.